Welcome, everyone. I know people are still getting their lunch, but we're going to get started. We've got a packed agenda today to get through, so we want to get going. My name's Sal Pizarro. I'm your president. I'd like to welcome you all to the, well, thank you, Brian. He's kissing up for next week already. Welcome to the 5,380th meeting of the Rotary Club of San Jose. I'd like to thank the Pause Committee, chaired by Brenda Sweeney and Lisa Rigel. And of course, you might have noticed they had a few four-legged guests today. So it was a little barky, but that was so much fun. I wish I'd known. I would have brought Parker. So let's get our red badgers with the traveling mics to stand up and introduce themselves. I definitely see Mitch. So, oh, and there's Holly. Okay. Why don't we start with you, Mitch?
Good afternoon, Sal. So Mitchell Fulton, financial planner, Merrill Lynch, right here in downtown San Jose. Sponsor is my dad, Mike Fulton.
Holly yes, Gabe Michael. President Sal, I'm Holly Elkins, the president of Presentation High School. My sponsor is Gary Giannini, and we're excited to celebrate Women's History Month this month.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Great to have you here. Okay, why don't we get started with where'd he go? Where's the guy? Let's start with Ray.
Thank you, President Sal. I have with me today Megan Cronin. She has been with HMH with me for 11 years. She is a principal at HMH. She's a graduate of Presentation High School and Santa Clara University.
Go Broncos.
And she heads up one of the leads in our Public Works Development, Public Projects section of our company. And shout out to Norm Holberg, if he's here, my sponsor.
Wonderful. So. Great to have you here, Megan. Over here to Catherine.
President Sal, Catherine Tompkinson. My guest today is Veronica Serenosian. She is the Bay Area Executive and Senior Vice President for Transportation for AECOM.
Wonderful to have you here, Veronica.
Hello, I'm Srinivasan. I'm a visiting Rotarian. I'm part of 3232. It's in India. Our club is called Rotary Club of Madras East. We got 180 members. We typically do $1 million worth of project every year. I personally involved in collecting close to $70,000 during COVID from this area. So this is going to be my second home. Thank you for including me. Thank you.
Well, thank you for being here. We're welcome anytime you can.
President Sal, my guest today.
Nope.
Am I out of turn?
No, not at all. Ron was blocking you. I couldn't see you.
Oh. My guest today is Dagmar Schildbach. Everybody welcome Dagmar. She's with the Alzheimer's Association.
Welcome, Dagmar. Great to have you here.
Good afternoon, President Sal.
Good afternoon.
I have two guests. One, a very distinguished architect, Ed Janicki, who's told me he's going to get even for my introductions. And the other is, you know the advertisement about the 3 Ps, Jonathan Lawson for the insurance company? Well, this gentleman has 2 Ps. He's a physicist and a very well-recognized poet. So this is Brian Johnston.
Poet scientist, love it. Welcome to you both. Vic.
Mr. President, this is Vic Corsilia. My guest today is Tanaya Solar. She's from Germany, and she is my caregiver.
Oh, well, welcome. It's wonderful to have you here as well.
President Sal, I'd like to introduce everybody to a student from San Jose State. He's from Ukraine. His parents are in Kyiv today. His name is Vova Zukov, and he's studying aerospace engineering.
Great to have you here again. Ron.
President Sal, Ron Gonzalez. I have 2 guests today. One is our guest speaker, who I'll introduce a little bit later in the program, but her guest is the Assistant General Manager for the BTA. His name is Greg Richardson.
Great to have you here, Greg.
President Sal, Randy Zeckman, Clean Solar. My guest today is Kent Sessions from the Cyber Gardener. He is putting in his application today, so I will not need to introduce him anymore.
All right, great to have you here. And Holly, could we get a microphone over to this gentleman right here who's a visiting Rotarian who's got a flag for me?
Thank you, President Sal. I'm Joel Valdez, visiting Rotarian from Manila, Philippines, all the way from across the Pacific. I'm here as your Goodwill Ambassador, and we are very much proud to announce that Jennifer Jones just announced recently Manila as the RI convention by 2028. So we're actually drumming up interest and awareness among the Bay Area clubs. This will be a series of visits that I'll be doing, principally to introduce the Philippines to you guys and actually maximize attendance from our Bay Area club members. So thank you very much for this opportunity to be with you. We will be exchanging flags with your club as we speak. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Okay, Manila 2028. I know we have a lot of well-traveled Rotarians, so it'll be fun to see if anyone can make it there in 5 years. It seems so far away, but we know it'll come up soon. Okay, next we've got a new member introduction. If I could have James Williams. You're spending a lot of time up here introducing new members. I love it. Come on up here and introduce us to our newest Rotarian.
Great. Thank you, Sal. So, you know, one of the benefits of being in this organization is that you get to bring new people into your life that demonstrate how to think more expansively, inspire you to be a better person, and to be a, you know, servant and better citizen in your community. And I'm honored to say that Chad Peavy has been such an individual for me in just the 4 months that I've known him. Chad is a fascinating man. He has dedicated his life to helping others better their own life experience. He is an author, a speaker, an executive coach, a teacher, a nonprofit leader, and more. In addition to having authored a widely read book, he publishes podcasts and coaches individuals to overcome unproductive and damaging mindsets in order to have a fuller life. Chad was raised in rural Arkansas in a difficult fundamentalist home, which set him on his path to help himself and others overcome such experiences. After completing graduate degree at UT Austin, he founded the Institute for Human Progress and Development, Austin Pride Foundation, and a Foundation for the Arts. After Chad and his husband, who himself is an accomplished violinist and arts leader, moved to the Bay Area last year, Chad set about seeking the best channels to connect to his new community, and that's what brought him to us today. So I'm very pleased to introduce our newest member, Chad Peavy.
Well, thank you, James, for the very thoughtful introduction. Thank you for welcoming my husband and me to San Jose, and thank you for your friendship. Growing up a sensitive boy, gay boy, in rural Arkansas taught me really early in life that this human experience is filled with suffering. Now, the gift in that lesson was discovering that every day when I wake up and my feet hit the floor, I get to make a choice. I can either suffer from what should have been, what could have been, and what ought to be, or I can suffer toward creating a better life for myself, the people I love, the causes that I care about in my community. So the idea of service above self has been a through line in my life, through community service, through business, and through my writing. Because for someone like me, service above self isn't just a great motto, it's always been the most critical ingredient for healing. And so it's in that spirit of suffering toward that I join you today in service. Thank you.
get a picture of that. Welcome, Chad, and we are thrilled to have you as part of our club. All right, looking out, who am I going to get to come up here next? I think it's going to be you, Jeff Pally. Did you not know? Oh, he's bringing his guard. Jeff's bringing his guard, Dan Orloff.
Terribly sorry about that. I thought we were going to get an on-deck notice or something.
No worries. This is your PR social committee. I just want to acknowledge the great work Jeff's been doing with the videos that you're seeing on our streams and more to come. But Jeffrey's going to walk us through what we can all do to help take this club to the next level as we look to reach more members here in San Jose through digital media. So Jeffrey's going to prepare us for a little exercise. Jeffrey. Oh, there you are.
See, I want you to check out this video real quick. If I can get it to play. No. Well, I was told not to touch this, but I'm going to take a chance.
Okay, when he's saying don't touch it, don't touch it. They're doing it.
All right. Back one.
No. Okay, no, it's not working.
All right.
Okay.
Well,
okay.
We'll take him through the exercise.
We'll go through the exercise anyway.
This is good improv, live TV, right?
Okay, if you would please take out your phones, open up your camera, and take a shot of the QR code that you see up there. And this will take us to our club's Facebook page. Tap the little center there, and that should take you right to a video onto our site. And all you have to do after you play it, listen to it, is simply click the like button. Everybody sees that down on the bottom right, bottom left corner. And then click the share button on the bottom right corner. And you will have helped multiply this message 100-fold. Everybody on your feed that's watching your Facebook stuff will get to see this video, and then you can answer a whole bunch of questions about, wow, what was that Rotary video that I saw, right?
Next one. What we're really asking is for you to be observant both on Facebook and Instagram of what this club is posting. It will help us reach members of our community, that will help attract new members from every sector of Santa Clara County, help us in the fundraising that we're doing for the foundation, which we in turn return to the community. So share once a week. That's really all we ask. Thank you very much. Thank you, President Sal. Thank you, Jeff.
And you never know, if you take a look at that page, your pictures are popping up there all the time. So take a look and like. Mike Fulton, come on up and talk to us about El Salvador.
All right. I'm going to flip to a next slide. Let's see here. Hey, everybody. You've seen me up here before, but over the last 3 years, our Rotary Club has funded school improvement projects in El Salvador, playgrounds, the internet, computers, furniture, toilets, repairs. Each year I've traveled to El Salvador to review the completed projects and look for more. This year, our partner, Rotary Club of Santa Ana, Ciudad Heroica, has warmly invited other Rotarians to join me and have offered their homes for homestays. It will be a heartfelt trip, visiting about 9 schools that are looking for much needed help. It'll be a safe trip We'll always be with a group of Rotarians, and it will be a fast and pretty inexpensive trip. I figure probably less than $1,500. So if you look at the slide, we depart March 19th. It's a Sunday. There's a nonstop flight from SFO to San Salvador, about 5.5 hours. The next morning, we drive into Santa Ana, about an hour and a half away, see the city, attend a Rotary meeting. The next 3 days, we'll be going on site visits to various schools, most of which probably in the car, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour. And on Friday, we return, and you're back for the gala. So it was in the bulletin this past week, but signing up last week to join me, Sue Smith, Terry Chapman, Tudo, and myself, and we're looking for another group of equal size. So please consider it, look at the bulletin, get a hold of me if you're interested. Thank you very much.
Fantastic. And I love that you'll be back in time for the gala on March 25th too. So, okay, next, let's get Bill Scherow up here to take a look back for us. I don't know what Bill has in store. I looked at the slides earlier and I was like, okay, this looks intriguing.
I do it right. There we go. Okay. So, good afternoon, everyone. This slide shows a little bit of two things. One is about a famous acrobat troupe that once lived in San Jose. And it's also about how History San Jose collects items and continues to collect items. Now, this is a tongue twister, but this is the Francis Dainty Company. And we found a quote about them. The Francis Dainty Company was the world's greatest cyclist in extraordinary feats of cycle riding and balancing, whirling, twirling, turning, circling, cycling in a whirlwind of thrills, quicker than shots from a rapid-fire gun. That's a good description. There was 3 generations of the Greer family that traveled around the world. The family resided in Willow Glen from 1886 to 1999. Now, the trunk that you see, yes, the trunk that you see is one of the trunks that we have from the family. But the way that this came about to us, one of the family members donated a whole bunch of items to History San Jose, and one of our volunteers that works in the collection center was working with the items, and then they were walking in San Carlos at an antique store, and they found more items. So we never know where we're going to found anything. And it was fully packed with all of the gear that they used in the bicycle shows. They were slack rope walkers. Slack rope walkers are not tightrope walkers. I know Matt's somewhere in the back there. The rope is kind of bends, and they would ride unicycles that have little special treads that ride up and down the wires. And this is a picture of the last gentleman, Francis Greer. It was his daughter that donated the items to History San Jose. And then, as I said, later on, our volunteers found it. So I know next week, Brian Adams is going to talk about movies, but we also have very famous vaudevillians that once lived in the valley. There was 3 brothers that were part of the family. And for some reason, we're still not quite sure. Maybe it was a Victorian era, maybe it was just a show gimmick gag. This gentleman here, when he was little, was always dressed as a little girl. His father and his brother, and then him. So we have all of their costumes and outfits. And we were wondering why we had outfits that are all women, because there's no women in the family that were part of the show. And then we realized by looking at photographs that it actually was. He was dressed as a little kid, as a little girl when he was in the show. So again, we keep finding stuff. Things keep coming down to History San Jose. And this is an example of a very famous family that we might not know, but once traveled the world and was geared as the Francis Dainty Company of crazy cyclists.
I swear, Bill, I just picture you every month going through the collection and sitting in the bathroom, like finding something new to share with us. So I had no idea, the Francis Dainty Company. Okay, well, we are on to our favorite part of the day, after the root beer, which is ring the bell. So we can get our traveling mics going. And if you've got some good news to share, you can do so and give some money to our endowment. Don't be shy. We've got no one. We've got Morris.
Morris Chubb, dealing in specialized trusts. I just closed today a deal for $5 million, so why don't we do 5 rings?
I love that.
Hey, President Sal, I'd like to ring the bell once because the upstairs validation machine is fixed, which means Marie and I don't have to stand in the cold downstairs.
Hi, everybody. I'm Michelle Ornott. I'd like to ring the bell 3 times because my beautiful niece had a stem cell transplant 3 years ago, and she's walking.
Fantastic.
Hello, Mr. President, Ron Zrake. I'd like to ring the bell twice. This is kind of a good news, bad news thing. My 2 adult children live in Willow Glen, and they've decided to move to Carlsbad. So that's really bad news for their stepmom and I, but it's really great news for them. So 2 rings for the kids' move.
Okay.
President Sal, 1 ring for all the people that are going to join me to El Salvador, and 1 ring because I'm sitting next to the gentleman from Ukraine.
Good reasons both.
Hi, President Sal. I'm Emily Robin. I'd like to ring the bell 1 time for the, as of this week, 138 healthy, thriving animals that live at Rancho Robin Rescues, including the 2 prematurely born newborn goats that I brought last week, who are both doing really, really well.
Oh, that's great to hear.
Sal?
Richard?
I would like to ring the bell 1 time for the law offices of Tim Gill because they were kind enough to hire my daughter Layla, and every dollar they pay her is probably a dollar I don't have to give her. So,
and
1 ring for Tim and Sandra.
And I'd say they weren't kind enough, they were smart enough. Michelle?
Hey, President Sal. Did you see in the Merc recently an article about the 16 best sandwiches in the Bay Area?
I saw it, yes.
Anybody see that? The first feature was La Villa and Willow Glen, and it was the Chris's combo. And I'm embarrassed to say I've never had the sandwich. And my dear friend Jean brought me the sandwich today for lunch. So I'm ringing the bell for Jean Serpa.
Oh. And it really is the best sandwich in San Jose. David?
Dave Ginsburg, religious services. I was about to say assessment services. I want to ring 1 bell for my son Atticus, who some of you have seen when he was little coming in here in Cub Scouts. He just got a summer gig doing data analytics at the Baseball Hall of Fame in Cooperstown.
Wow. I'll ring for Atticus.
I'd like to ring the bell.
I would like you to
May
ring
I
the
do
bell,
that,
Holly.
President Sal?
Absolutely.
I'd like to ring it twice this Women's History Month. For the student athletes at Presentation High School, we have the CCS Division II champions in soccer and our very first wrestling champion as well. So for our student athletes, twice, please. Thank you.
Go Panthers. What, got one on Zoom? Oh, Carl's got one on Zoom. We're gonna figure that out, but let's get to Brad Barron first.
President Sal, I would like to do 2 rings. 1 for my middle daughter who just got accepted to Chapman University. And the second ring is for my oldest daughter who's a senior at University of Portland. We ended up and visited her last weekend and she surprised us. Her choir at the school ended up backing up the Eagles in their concert.
Oh, wow. And
Hello, Mr. President. Veronica Ciernosin with AECOM, guest of Catherine. I wanted to ring the bell for International Women's Day next week. There are many large and small things that we can do to support women in the various industries we are in. At AECOM, we're doing something called Each One, Reach One. So if all of us can think about a woman that we want to uplift and support in our industries, ours is architecture, engineering, and planning. Like I recently took one of my mentees to yoga and we talked about how we could advance her career. So Each One, Reach One for International Women's Day, and one ring, please.
Okay. And I know we've got Carl on Zoom. I'm going to ring the bell for him and we'll tell you what it is at the end of the meeting. Okay, I'm going to slide through some very quick announcements before we get to our speaker. First thing, Fish Day coming up next weekend, March 11th. Volunteers are still needed. Fishing expertise not required. So please contact Catherine Tompkinson or Elizabeth Monley. Of course, you'll get that tri-tip lunch, but we do need volunteers. And there will be another notice in the bulletin this week. There's still, I believe, some spaces. There's only 9 tickets left for the blind wine tasting event, which is on March 9th at Joseph George Fine Wines, of course. So please, if you want to get in on that, you should do it now. Those tickets will go before next week, I'm sure. We've also got, as International Women's Day was mentioned, our International Women's Day event coming up right here in this room on March 19th, which is a Sunday. Tickets are available, so please, if you'd like to join us, please do so. We're going to have some Rotarians, you know, including myself and Steve Borkenhagen, pouring some wine out front. It'll be a great time. If you went to last year's, you know it's a really enjoyable and informative event. We've got some great speakers, including the new president of San Jose State. And last, I don't have a slide for this, but the Fun and Friendship Committee, which we had a great axe throwing event last weekend. We're going to try to get some pictures for you for that next week. They've got a hike to Elmenden Quicksilver with wine. So you hike in some wine, have a little picnic if you've been there. That is March 18th, 10 a.m. There's flyers on the tables with more details on that. So I hope you can get there. Same day as it's the day before the women's event. So I don't know if anything else is going on March 18th. But you can, get up after St. Patrick's Day and take a hike. It'll be good. So, Ron Gonzalez, please come up and introduce our speaker.
Thank you, President Sal. It is a pleasure to be in a position to introduce our guest speaker for the day because I've had the opportunity to work with her. But let me just tell you a little bit about her background. Providing solid public transportation leadership for more than a quarter century, Carolyn Gonot is one of a handful of women leading major public transit agencies throughout the U.S. National Women's Month, perfect. She built her career over 2 decades, mostly at our very own Santa Clara Valley Transportation Authority in multiple leadership roles, including Chief Engineering and Program Delivery Officer, Chief BART Program Officer, Chief Development Officer, and Deputy Director of the Congestion Management Program. Her extensive experience in successfully delivering capital projects to improve mobility in Silicon Valley led to her becoming the first woman to take the helm of the Utah Transit Authority, where she served from 2019 to 2021. Carolyn then returned to Santa Clara Valley Transportation Authority, rising to the challenge of leading the agency through the aftermath of a deadly mass shooting, I'm sure we all recall that, and navigating the recovery of the transit service devastated by the COVID-19 pandemic. In her role as General Manager and Chief Executive Officer of the VTA, she is responsible for 2,100 employees, delivering projects, programs, and transit services that provide mobility solutions for more than 2 million people who live and work in Silicon Valley. Born and raised in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, Ms. Gonot received a Bachelor of Science degree from the University of Notre Dame and a Master of Science in Civil Engineering from Penn State University. She's an active supporter of the Women's Transportation Seminar, honored and has been honored by the San Francisco Chapter Women of the Year in 2013, and most recently was named by Silicon Valley Business Journal as one of the 100 most powerful leaders in Silicon Valley. Please welcome our Red Badge member, Carolyn Gonot.
Okay, good afternoon. I'm really happy to be here and talk a little bit about transportation. I'm going to give you a little bit of an overview or primer of VTA. And as Ron said, I joined VTA in 1996, right after VTA merged with actually after the Congestion Management Agency merged with the Transit District. So I joined exactly about a year after, and the position had been empty. And primarily I ran the first countywide transportation plan that involved all the cities to move forward, and really defining what was going on in that first plan. Ron was our chair of our board when we adopted it. And actually, I think you were on the board. I'm not sure if you were the chair at the time, that you were chair next year, but really actually pushed for the BART to San Jose project, which we're very proud that we're able to build that, as well as all the services that we run. So I'm going to move forward just with a few things. Let me do that. To start things off, as I mentioned, I'm going to give you a snapshot of what VTA does. A lot of people know us because they'll see our buses are light rail. They think we're a transit operator, but we do a little bit more. I'm going to do a brief presentation, then I'll open up to Q&A. We have a number of core services as VTA. We have our bus. We have about 68,000 weekday boardings. That's about 77% of pre-pandemic. We are actually recovering better than any other transit agency in the Bay Area right now. We're doing very well. Most of the transit agencies are anywhere between 35 and 50%, but we're up around 70% overall. Our light rail, we carry 13,600 in weekday boardings. That's about 50% of pre-pandemic. And that's also because rail heavily focuses on the commutes, and we haven't seen as many people, of course, with telecommuting go back to work. And so that the rail systems in general, like BART and Caltrain, are struggling a little bit more to get their ridership back. And then we also run the paratransit service. That's for the eligible passengers who cannot use fixed route transit. And we have a little over 1,000 weekday boardings. That's still around 54% of the pre-pandemic. But our bus service is all over the county. It was there when people needed it during the pandemic. It served the essential workers. And one thing that we had done is we had January 2019, right before the pandemic began, we actually had just changed our concept for service and put a new service plan in. We ran more frequent service throughout the day, and we ran more weekend service, weekday night service, and we actually saw ridership start to jump immediately. We had a jump of 6% in 1 month from January to February, which was fantastic. And then the pandemic hit. But the thing that we did see is coming back and seeing the market that we have now. That's the reason why we've been able to recover more as we go forward. And we definitely would love to expand it more, have more frequent service so that people can be able to take the transit when they need it. Because oftentimes we were serving very much a peak market. If you look at where our ridership is now, it starts out slow in the morning, gets up there right around 7, and it's pretty much consistent throughout the day, and it drops back down in the evenings. But if we can continue to allow service for people who are grocery store workers, restaurant workers, healthcare workers, to be able to get it when their shifts aren't 8 to 5 and they're 7 in the afternoon to 4 p.m. or at noon, like restaurants, noon to maybe 8 p.m., they have the ability to take transit. And that's one of the things that we're really focused on now. We have our fares have been consistent for a long time. They've been $2.50. That does include a transfer in 2 hours. We have a day pass at $7.50. We also have a number of other fare products that we use. We do have discounted fares. We have a transit app, and we're currently working with the whole region to sort of consistently have our discounts and our pricing and our transfer policies. So that's a big effort that is going on currently, fare integration between all the 26 Bay Area transit agencies that there are. We're very lucky. We have VTA is one for this county, and then we have Caltrain and BART as well. But for all the other transit agencies, it's a little off, and what you get transfers on and how you move is different. So we're working closely with all the other agencies, with BART, SF Muni, Caltrain, AC Transit as well. Like I said, we're more than a transit service. In addition to light rail, bus, and paratransit, we're also the congestion management agency for Santa Clara County. That means we spend a lot of time with our activities to integrate transportation and land use and working with the cities closely. We build a lot of transportation infrastructure. We build BART projects. We build the BART project that we have. As part of the BART project, just to let you know, phase one, I was running that project, and not only did we build a BART project, we built a flood control project. We reconstructed a water project in the Berryessa Station area. We actually built Mission 880 in Fremont, the second phase of that interchange, if you ever go there, and a Warren Avenue overcrossing in Fremont, Dixon Landing Road overcrossing in Fremont. We built UP bridges. So it's more than BART, but because we were a trusted agency and being able to build, we were oftentimes asked to build the projects that were adjacent or as part of it. And we actually saw major savings by being able to do that. So we also build a lot of highway projects. Most of the highway projects you see in Santa Clara County are built by VTA with oversight from Caltrans. We're one of the few agencies that does that. We're one of the few in the country that do that. We build and we operate the express lanes that are in Santa Clara County. So when you see those toll lanes if you want to be a single driver in one of those lanes, or in some cases even two drivers on 237 or parts of 880, you're gonna that's actually our tolling system. And as we build that toll system out, that provides revenue for other transportation projects in the corridor and for transit operations like Caltrain and VTA. We design and build local highway programs, as I mentioned. We encourage the integration of transportation land use. I mentioned this through the Congestion Management Agency, but we have a lot of guidelines and books that we work with the cities. Bicycle technical guidelines that really work. We actually, though, have incentives. If the bicycle guidelines are adopted and concurred with by a city, then they're eligible for our bicycle funds that we program to the cities through our measure programs. And then last but not least, as I mentioned, we program federal, state, and local funds that are given to us from the region or from the federal government and to the cities. A lot of that you'll see in roadway repairs and moving forward in bicycle and pedestrian projects. Much of that is through our program. We do have a board of directors. I don't know if anybody knows how it's actually structured. I see Chappie Jones was here. He was our past board chair. Ron Gonzalez has been a past board chair as well. We're made up of 5 members from the city of San Jose, 2 from the County Board of Supervisors, and 5 from the other remaining cities. And then we have alternate members from each of those city groupings, and that makes up our board. So not every city is on the board at any one time, but most cities do rotate on or get off. And there's a lot of coordination among the cities based on the geographic location. Our biennial budget, and I'll introduce, as we mentioned earlier, that's Assistant General Manager Greg Richardson. He's our Chief Financial Officer. Our operating budget for 22 and 23 is roughly $550 million, and we're currently going through our budgets for 2024 and 2025. We adopt 2 one-year budgets at a time, so we're not doing an annual budget every year, which is good for the CFO and the rest of his staff, so that's great. And we're able to plan a little bit further ahead. Our sales tax is over 85% of our operating revenues. Much of the others is through fares, advertising, and federal funds and state funds. But I want to thank the voters in Santa Clara County that really do provide most of these sales taxes through Measure A, Measure B, 2016, Measure B, 2008, which funds the BART operating sources for us. And in addition, we have a number of our capital budgets. We have $210 million in this last budget for just VTA projects, mostly state of good repair. $2.14 billion in Measure A transit improvements. That's a 2000 measure that started in 2006 and ends in 2036. That's primarily for BART, but we also have projects for downtown East Valley and some Caltrain. And then we have a $372 million really robust highway program for over these 2 years. And we've built recently, we opened up the Blossom Hill 101 interchange to have bike ped improvements. And we also opened up the 101 Matilda interchange. That was one of ours as well. BART Silicon Valley Extension. I've been on this project for, I don't know, many years since Ron's been working on this. 1986 was the first time I worked on this project. Hate to say that, it almost tells you how long it takes to get a project built, but it is a 16-mile extension of regional rail into Silicon Valley, and the first 10 miles was known as the Berryessa extension. It went to Milpitas, the station Milpitas, and Berryessa. That was mostly in a railroad corridor that we purchased from Union Pacific. So it was much easier to build a 10-mile extension, but it was still $2.3 billion to build that extension. It's not cheap, I'll tell you that, to build BART, but it's a good system once you have it because it is fully grade separated and fast. Our next, as you know, if you've been reading the news at all, we're into phase 2. It's in the planning and design phases. We're actually going to start early construction works towards the end of this year. It will add 4 more stations, 3 that are subway, and a downtown underground tunnel. I am going to toot a little bit about the tunnel because we are building a single bore tunnel for transit. It's the first one in the United States to be done. We went years ago over to Barcelona to see theirs. Theirs was the first in the world to build a single bore. And I don't think, most of you probably don't know this, but most tunnels are built, transit tunnels are built with 2 single bores and then, or a double bore, and then you just connect at the stations by building a large cut and cover station. In the downtown San Jose, we would have built a cut and cover station plus a crossover. It would have been the length of almost 8 football fields on Santa Clara Street. And we would have had to dig down roughly 55 feet to 60 feet. So that was something that the downtown did want to avoid. We wanted to avoid that as well. So we studied the tunneling technologies that were coming out. Twin bore has been here since the end of the 1800s. And so we looked at what technologies were coming out, and we're going with a roughly 53-foot bore tunnel through in downtown. So when we do get that, we're about to, the contractor is about to procure the machine, and once it comes on site, I know it'll be, everybody will want to see this large boring machine before it goes underground. 53 feet is something that is rivals somewhat, if you ever heard of Big Bertha in Seattle that built I forget which highway it is in Seattle that they built. But just to let you know, the other thing is we used a new technique for transit projects called progressive design build for rail transit, which means we hire the contract and we work closely with them on the front end so that they're not giving us a fixed price when they bid the job. They give us a fixed price that we will negotiate about a year into the job after we know better what the project will be. And it allows the contractor to work closely with both the city and BART. I don't think most people know, but when we are done with the extension and we start operating it, it's BART that operates and maintains. VTA will own all the assets for the BART system. So that is one thing. We do own the current extension into Santa Clara County. So BART does not own that. We're not part of the BART district, but BART we have an agreement with them to operate and maintain the system as well. And currently the phase 2 extension, you'll hear that, is $9.3 billion. It sounds a lot, but I just heard that that's about a 6-mile extension with a yard and 4 stations. I just heard the downtown Transbay Corridor extension, which is going into Caltrain, 1.6 miles, is going to be $6.7 billion. So not that we're a bargain, but we're better than that. Transit-oriented development. We have a fairly substantial, robust transit-oriented development program. We have 26 sites in the cities of Mountain View, Campbell, Milpitas, Morgan Hill, San Martin, and Gilroy. And 65% of the sites are in San Jose. And I want to give you a little more statistics. Oh, sorry, statistics on this. We do talk a little bit about this, but the developments will generate a little over 2,800 units of affordable housing and 4,300 units of market rate housing. And the expectation is that the TOD portfolio will help increase daily ridership of VTA bus, light rail, and BART by 13,000 new daily riders, yielding up to $20 million in new annual revenue, new farebox revenue. The ground leases are anticipated to generate $30 million a year. And the program right now includes 7 projects between 2023 and 2027, and they're listed there on the screen. Most of them are within the San Jose area, but we're continuing to move forward on other projects as well. I mentioned a little bit about transit ridership growth and how the pandemic took a toll on the entire transit industry. And we have a ridership task force that had gotten together and came up with a number of proposals, spent time. We had members from our unions, from labor, from throughout the agency, all different people who really wanted to engage. And we had they had a 2-day workshop, then presented the findings to the chiefs. And so far, 7 of the proposals are moving forward. We have a couple that are around fair payment barriers to the public that we really want to try to address as well. The 2 proposals that address fair payment barriers, they really do talk about increasing the number of Clipper fare dispensers around the system and providing passengers with the ability to tap credit cards for payments, which is open payment. If people don't know, you do get discounts with Clipper cards, oftentimes when you use them over and above what are, when you're using for other fares. So I think it's important to be able to get that to the community. The other thing I'd like to really look at is fare capping, because many of the people who are using our services, so for example, single mother who has 2 children who take transit, or teenagers who take transit, that monthly pass to get to school is quite expensive. And so we're looking at a fare capping process where they tap their cards and it just bills them for that. So that it's a cumulative. And once they hit during the month that level, then we don't charge them anymore. So they're not having to dish out $70 or $140 for 2 kids at the beginning of the month, but they could slowly use the fares. And then we have discounted fares for youth as well. So we really want to be able to make public transit more accessible, to actually be able to get those discounts that you can see at the monthly rates that we have. And then the last thing that I want to talk about is work culture and climate transformation. And this revolves heavily around sort of the world we're living in today and the impacts it's had on our society. So we did mention a little bit, Ron mentioned when I came up here, that I actually came on board to VTA, 4 days before they appointed me as the executive director, or 4 days after is when the shooting was there. And I started about 7 weeks after the mass shooting at our Guadalupe yard, where we lost 9 employees. We'd already been, struggling in general through the pandemic. We had a major cybersecurity attack right before that. And so when we had the mass shooting, it really did, it probably exacerbated situations at VTA more, and particularly to get ready for the future. And so a lot of our work right now is labor management, working with labor management, which we have a fantastic workforce development program with ATU 265, the local, and we want to continue to expand that. But we were able, after the shooting, to get $20 million from the state through Senator Cortese's initiatives and push to be able to do that. And that really focused on mental health for our employees and mental health programs. And much of it that is given to us is to become a standard, so for what we're doing. And much of that is just to be able, granted, we're not going to recover. Many people will not recover from this for many years, and they're all going to go through their own healing journey. But we're really working on a lot of work culture. We have a consultant coming in, working with a group of our union leaders, as well as some of our managers, to really create a program and engage the employees and move forward. There's a lot of good work that's beginning to help, but a lot of it is just trust throughout, management with labor, managers with their frontline employees, managers to managers, managers to upper management. All those areas need to be worked on. But the mental health services we've had is we have a resiliency center that's actually in Santa Clara County that the county did, that allows people to go. We have a 2-year, a full-time psychologist for our agency. We've partnered quite a bit with ATU and the Center for Living with Dying. And recently we had an operator who passed, and he had actually gone into cardiac arrest at an event we had. our employees immediately jumped into him, gave him a fighting chance to live, but he died in surgery later on that day. But immediately, we were able to get the mental health care services, not just for us, but there are 5 other transit agencies, have mental health care professionals for them, and as well as the team that actually worked on the gentleman. So it was the support that we give them and making sure that they understand that they're in a safe place and trying to make them feel safe is so important in work today, in the work culture. We're seeing higher amounts of bus driver assaults. And so our focus is really also on the security of our transit system and our workforce. So much of the work we're doing is to get us prepared and stabilize our agency. I have a VTA Forward initiative. It's called Stabilize, Revitalize, and Transform. We're in the revitalize phase with some things still on the stabilize phase, and really getting ready for the new technology, zero emission buses that we're going to be doing, looking at our new light rail technology as our vehicles age out, building of the visionary network for VTA, expanding our express bus system, looking at micro transit projects, or those that are more like door-to-door pickups similar to Uber, and moving our agency forward so that we're able to offer everybody the options that they need. The last thing I want to say is that, and I think I said this one as a red badge member when they introduced me, was, one of the things with transportation is, and people don't think about, transportation affects the quality of life in this county. And we provide much in the transportation realm when it comes to this county. And we partner with a lot of others, but we're really a main leader and we're a main funder for a lot of the other activities. But if we don't have a good transportation system, our quality of life isn't good in this county. And I do make that point to every single one of our workers, that how important transportation is, how important their job is to do that, to get the person to their doctor's appointment, to provide options so that people can travel and that they can have a fuller life and have that time with their family and their friends. So I just want people to remember that, that's really our mission, is to actually make sure that Santa Clara County has the best quality of life in what we can do and to help support that. So I'm just going to ask if there's any questions, and thank you.
Stay up here. Okay, got some.
Yes, hi, good afternoon. My name is Tim Gill, and own a building at 46 West Santa Clara Street. So I just want to thank you for the forward thinking that you're doing regarding the design as single bore, but also not doing cut and cover. That would have absolutely destroyed all the merchants and the businesses downtown. Also, I've ridden the system in Barcelona, outstanding, but also we were recently in London, and the bus drivers there are in a little booth, and it's very safe. So I don't know if VTA has thought about that.
It's one of the things that's come up is operator safety, and we have, of course, we put panels up during the pandemic, but that's not the same. So those things will be considered as we go forward with buying buses. Thanks.
Okay, Steve Ellenberg in the back.
Hi, Carolyn. Thank you very much for packing so much information into 20 minutes. One number that jumped out at me was that the 85%, that sales taxes comprise 85% of the revenues for VTA, and I'm wondering where that lies amongst other urban areas. Is that unusually high? I'm surprised if it's unusually low. And just how that compares.
It is high, considering a lot of other agencies. What was interesting is when I went to Utah Transit Authority, right now it's 85% because of the fares are down and other revenues are down. But in Utah, we were about 70% sales tax revenue as well. So part of it's the sales tax is also state sales tax that comes through. So it's not just the sales tax that raised at the local level, even though it's based on sales at the local level, we do get we get sales tax back from the state as well. But it is higher. You go BART or New York or Caltrain, they had higher fare box recovery ratios. Those are mostly on those big commuter rail systems and systems with extremely dense land uses like San Francisco. You'll see more fare box revenue and less on the sales tax side. But there's still, AC Transit and that, they're funded through parcel tax or property tax and sales tax.
Before we get to Richard, I want to jump into a question we have on Zoom. which is from Allison Klein. How can VTA make public transportation more attractive to those of us who love our cars?
I think there's a number of things. One is, it always is sort of, we do typically tag along with where gas prices are. But when nobody's driving, and it just depends on how that is. I would say that one of the ways is make it more frequent, so that when you come out, you don't need a schedule and you can get out. And you also know when the train is coming or the bus is coming. For example, if you're standing there saying, should I go into Starbucks and get my coffee, or is the bus going to come, or is it going to come or not? And nothing drives me more crazy than thinking, okay, I'm not going to go get my Starbucks, and next thing I know, I'm standing there 15 minutes and I could. So there's things that I think that will help people through technology. I think the other things is the cities to provide those land uses. The North San Jose is finally building up, but that was one of the first places that light rail came in this county. The other thing is competitive time with the car. So if you see 85 or 87, Route 87, where we run our light rail, we're competitive with the car there, because we run very high speed. So if there's traffic in those areas, we're competitive. And so those are the things that really is more frequent, reliable, and competitive with the automobile. But you're not always going to be competitive with the automobile. But the one thing you can do on transit, like I do if I take like the Capitol Corridor or other transit modes, is I work, or I make phone calls, or I do my emails, which you're not supposed to do in your car.
I know the Kleins have an Aston Martin, so it's really hard to compare that to a bus. Richard.
Thank you for coming. I'm sort of piggybacking on Steve Ellenberg's question about, sales tax revenue and all that. I mean, is it completely crazy to think if we didn't charge people at all, because so little comes from the fare box, and then you figure the cost of collecting and auditing and depositing that money? I mean, why do we even charge if we want to make it more attractive?
I've sometimes think, well, people only value what they have to pay for. That might be something. I don't know if that's true. They've thought about that. Part of it is there's a lot of demonstrations right now. Kansas City was going free fare. I think Utah's going free fare for 1 month. And so I'm interested in trying to find out where they're going. This is a push throughout the country right now. I think one of the things is having the ability for people to give free fares out, and for us to find other revenue sources so that transit can be free. Because you're looking at our budget, and even though it's 85% sales tax revenue, you have 15% of 500 million has to come from somewhere for us to be able to operate. So I think that's part of the discussions that we have. And that's the trade-off. You're right, because it costs money to trade. So I would like to have more options where there's a way to get transit passes in people's hands that are truly subsidized. We find out through our Smart Pass and that people use the service when it's free and it's accessible, and they can just use it quickly. Part of it is also safety, security. You want to make sure that that the non-destination riders aren't just on it all day, because then it feels unsafe to others, and then they won't use it. And safe and clean are the two main words that have come up even more after the pandemic now on our system. That's what people want.
Okay, let's go back here.
Hi, Ken Sessions. First of all, why anyone would want your job, I do not understand.
I told myself that too.
My goodness, it's amazing. When do you think, this is not being recorded or anything, of course, kind of. When do you think the first ride on BART might be from San Jose Dearborn?
I was going to look to Greg. I think it's 2033, 4. 2033, 2034, 2034. We'll be, actually right now we're in the process of updating the cost estimate and the schedule that we're going to. We were very lucky. We were in a program in the federal program called Expedited Project Delivery through Federal Transit Administration. That program was set up more for projects of roughly 500 million, not in the billions. So, and they only give, you were capped at 25%. We recently moved the project into a New Starts program that we're looking for up to almost 50% of the funding from the federal government. But I have to say, I'm trying I don't want to take really much more at the local level, actually any from the local level on the capital project, because the voters have been great. I mean, it's billions of dollars the voters have given to fund BART.
I think Ron's going to have the last question, but before we get to his question, we do have another one online from Carl Salas related to BART, which is there were delays because of the systems getting to Berryessa. Things had to be, there was a control system wasn't working, cars not matching the rails or something. Are things being done to prevent that from happening with the downtown extension?
Yeah, I mean, I think, it's interesting. When you build a project, the thing I've learned is get the construction, the heavy civil done, because the systems work is difficult. It's the hardest part of the job over this, way harder than the civil work, but it's not a very lot of money, so the time frame goes longer. But I think it's a coordination between BART and us, and we actually, the way that project was done is we were defining system components in 2010 for them to put a bid out on that. By 2017, 2018, their own products were becoming obsolete, and we were having to change some of it out. So there were some issues there. We were also designing a new system, an R&D system for track intrusion. So there were some glitches that were brand new. I have to say that project was roughly 2 years late, but it's roughly 90 million under budget. And so the project's moving forward, but those things are more coordinating with BART, having BART really closely working with us, which they did, but they came on a little bit later than, and they had some changes in their team, so.
Answer, BART's fault.
No, I know, we're partners.
Okay, quick question and quick answer, Ron.
Yes, just down the street, there's a train station named after one of our members. I don't know, is Rod here today?
He's on Zoom today.
Yeah,
Oh, he's on Zoom today.
he's my
Okay.
sponsor.
Hi, Rod. And can you help us envision what the Diridon station would look like in 20, 30 years, given all the things that are going to happen there? Because I don't know that everyone understands the change that's going to take place, in that not just that neighborhood, but that station specifically.
Well, I can give you my vision. First of all, my sense is right now, I don't know, many people know, but we'll have over 500 trips going in and out of that station a day. That's train. It doesn't include all the bus trips and everything, because we serve the counties to the south, come in as well. It will be sort of the Grand Central Station of the West Coast. It will be bigger than even what will be going in and out of Los Angeles. And because it will connect with our light rail, it will connect with high-speed rail, it will have Caltrain, it has the ACE corridor coming in, it has Capital Corridor, all of them have plans to expand their service. Then it also has our bus rapid transit, our transit services, and the light rail that we're planning on doing is looking at what is the best way to come in. You'll still have a vibrant, I think, entertainment industry, housing and development, but there's a lot of work to be done. It's lagging a little from my point of view, I'll honestly say that. And so my push this year will actually be getting someone coming on board and just really sort of driving this through. Caltrain's doing a lot of the technical work. They own the station, but honestly, we're going to have to be the leader in funding the work that's there, us in the city of San Jose. But I think it's going to be extremely dynamic. It's going to move the center of gravity in this region to heavily pull or be in San Jose and be in Silicon Valley, because we're seeing also the housing and everything grow to the south as well. So it's going to be very exciting. I think it's a land use and transportation investment all rolled up in one, but I believe BART is a land use investment as well, so.
And we look forward to seeing that in 2034-ish.
Thank you, Carolyn.
And do we have Carl's ring the bell to put up on the screen? No? Maybe? Okay, I know we're running very late. Please remember to bus your tables. Don't forget to turn in your Oscar ballot, which is due today. Today's the last day you can do that. And next week, of course, we're going to be making use of that. Our speaker will be Brian Adams on the Academy Awards. And seeing if we've got Carl. Well, Carl was ringing the bell twice. We know that. So we'll give him 2 rings. And thank you for coming. Meeting's adjourned.